Welcome, everyone, to the Sonoma Spiel. My name is Tim with the Sonoma Valley Visitors Bureau. Been a while since I've been on this podcast. Apologize for the break. One, we had the lighting of the Sonoma Plaza, which was a major success. And I would say that even if I wasn't paid to say it, but it was a great time. You can watch it on YouTube. There's probably a link somewhere in the show notes right here. You could check it out. But then I was just recently down. I left the island of Sonoma and I went down to a place called Pajaro Dunes. It's outside of Watsonville. It's on the Monterey Bay. It was my mom's 80th birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. It was a great time. And it's this beautiful, the Monterey Bay is this beautiful bay. It's like a wildlife refuge. There's a kelp forest. I kind of grew up down in that area, so we'd go there a lot. And I was just reminded how beautiful California is. And it just so happens that today I have a very special guest. Now, I know every week I say I have a very special guest, and every week I do, except for the weeks I take off to go down to Pajaro Dunes in Watsonville. But this week I do have a very special guest, and this time I do actually mean it, because not only does he know a lot about California, he knows a lot about the diversity of the state and what we're doing, because his job is to actually promote the entire state of California to the rest of the great unwashed 49 other states out there. Today I have Ryan Becker with Visit California. Ryan, how are you doing?
I'm great, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And I know in your marketing material, you never call the other 49 states the great unwashed.
We do not. That would be a bad thing.
In the style book.
Mm-hmm. Marketing 101. Do not insult your audience.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But do we want to crap on Florida and Texas now?
We can maybe just a little.
Going hard. Just going there. Ryan, what is Visit California? What is that?
We're the state tourism board, but we're a private nonprofit. We're the only state that's structured like this. So we are funded by tourism businesses across the state of California. Right. There's about 18,000 brick and mortar locations that pay into our program.
How many?
18,000.
18,000?
Yes.
That's huge.
Hotels, rental cars, theme parks, museums.
People involved in the hospitality and tourism world.
Exactly.
So, and I often tell people that what I do for Sonoma Valley, you do for Visit California.
Right.
Does that mean that every Friday you have a dumb podcast that you do too?
I'm thinking about it. This is pretty cool.
It is good.
I'm having fun here.
It's fun. You got the Visit California hat.
You got to write for the brand.
Yeah, you got to get in there. I had it Sonoma stuff. A lot of it's been pilfered, but then I have other states and other places stuff. I imagine your wardrobe is full of logo wear.
Yes, there's a lot of swag out there.
There is. Because we have so many Visit California shirts from all the trade shows like IPW and stuff. And
not just my wardrobe, but my kids' wardrobe.
Well, I was going to say, actually, and my wife sleeps in all that. She goes, did you get a shirt from that show? Yeah. How long have you been at Visit California?
13 years now.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Right out of high
Longest
school.
job I've ever had. Yeah.
The longest job. Yeah. Well, and that's another thing. Did you know this job existed when you were in high school and college?
I had no idea. In fact, I didn't know this job existed until I was literally interviewing at Visit California. Yeah.
You're like in the lobby. You're like,
yes.
oh,
yeah.
I should probably learn about these
That's
people.
exactly right. Yeah.
Where did you come from? How did you end up in this job?
I was a journalist by training and by trade. I had a journalism career for about 15 years, primarily newspapers around the state of California, and dabbled a little bit in radio as well.
Okay.
But newspapers, a challenged business model, and I always knew probably wasn't going to retire as a newspaper person, so needed to figure out a next chapter, and had a friend who worked at Visit California, and she told me about the gig, and there was an opening, and similar skills, storytelling, and really trying to articulate complicated ideas in a simple creative way. So it makes sense. It's been great.
You traded in like school board meetings for go to this cool restaurant and go to Half Dome.
It was a tough sell. Yeah,
absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ryan, are you from the Sacramento area?
No, I grew up in the Central Valley, so San Joaquin County, which is it's about an hour south of Sacramento. Yeah. So we lived in Manteca and Lodi and Stockton, so all San Joaquin County.
My grandfather, my dad's side, so my dad's dad was born literally in a barn in San Joaquin Valley.
Barn?
In a barn, yeah.
Wow. I was not born in a barn. But I was born in San Joaquin County.
You are not the child of immigrant dairy farmers.
No.
So you grew up in the Central Valley, and then did you go to school in the Central Valley?
I went to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo.
Hold on, go Mustangs.
Yes, go Mustangs.
Got to put that out.
Harvard to the West.
actually what they say. Harvard, or the West, if you're into ag.
Yes.
What engineering?
It's a great engineering, architecture school, huge ag school, of course.
Good for your complexion. A little foggy sometimes in June and July.
It is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
First place, actually probably still only place I've ever lived where you did not need air conditioning. So
it's
absolutely
I think
stunning.
year round it's between like 62 and like 72.
Yeah. It is absolutely beautiful. You're about 15 minutes from the ocean. There's tons of hiking. There's a wine region. It's really amazing.
So when my son was looking at schools, we went back down there.
Yeah.
And I used to go there for, this might shock you, but I was a theater and debate dork in high school. Shocking, huh?
Uh-huh.
So there was a big debate tournament that was the Cal Poly Invitational. We'd go down there. And the campus at the time was this sort of like 1970s poured concrete, you know, like any kind of like post-apocalyptic movie where people wore like gorilla suits. That's what the campus was. And so we go down with my son, and there's this beautiful like chateaus and villas on the hill now. And I'm like, oh, are those like the rich people housing? And like, no, those are dorms for the Cal Poly Mustangs.
Yes, it has become quite the development.
It's like a lazy river.
It's always it's always been a college town, but it is what that campus is doing is truly stunning.
It's amazing.
It is amazing,
and it really is a good school.
It is. So it's a great school.
What was when you were down there? Did you ever go to the beach? I imagine.
Yeah, I did go to the beach.
What was your favorite beach down there?
Pismo Beach, which kind of has a special place on my heart. My grandparents used to take me there when I was a kid, so I didn't even really understand the geography when I chose Cal Poly as a student. And then you kind of realize, oh, this place that I used to come every year is right down the road.
Right, I've been here before. Kind of thing.
Exactly.
Is Pismo where you can still ride on the four-wheelers? I don't think.
That's just down from Pismo, so Oceano Dunes area, where you can actually drive on the beach there. Yeah.
Really? Mm-hmm. Oceano.
Yeah.
That's how you say it.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right, so you got in the newspaper business, as we said. Did you enjoy that? Was it challenging? Was it like, I mean, you obviously don't get rich in it.
You do not get rich in it. And it was I followed my family history. So my dad was a newspaper reporter. My grandmother was a newspaper reporter.
Really?
Oddly, my grandmother on my mom's side.
Okay.
So
it passed down on both the recessive and dominant genes.
And dominant genes, yes. And they of course said, don't go into newspapers. And what do you do when you're a 18, 19-year-old? You're like, I'm going to major in journalism.
I saw my name in print.
Exactly, yeah.
Print's never going to die, Ma.
Yeah. And it's a special industry. I think that a lot of journalists are really in the service of society, frankly,
100%.
and they are quick to tell you that, by the way. And I still have a lot of friends in journalism. I loved it. It was fulfilling and gratifying, in a very special way. It is a grind. It is definitely a grind.
Yeah.
There is no. The deadlines are real, right? And it's 365 days a year. So someone's working Christmas Eve, somebody's working Easter Sunday, so it does make it hard, I think, to raise a family. I was primarily an editor and a designer, so that tended to be nights. So,
that's kind of rough.
2 to midnight, 3 to midnight kind of stuff.
That's not fun at all.
Yeah, that I liked it, the work, but the schedule, especially once you're trying to raise a family.
It's kind of hard to bring your kid to kindergarten at the same time.
Yeah.
What I do like about journalism, in the sense people called it the first draft of history, and that you can go back and see the decisions that people were making, rightly or wrongly.
Yes.
But at the time, you're just like, crank. Okay, I got 750 words. I got to get this thing out.
Exactly, and an editor yelling at me, like, "Where is it?"
That's right.
Exactly.
And that's the wrong use of there. Idiot.
Let's not talk about Oxford commas.
Which are important.
Your listeners are dropping like flies.
My mom's still with us. You're right. All right. So you go to visit California.
Yeah.
Let's go zoom ahead into visit California. And you'd never really heard of this kind of world.
Right.
And I didn't even know it existed until I too applied for a job at San Francisco Travel.
Right.
At the time, San Francisco Convention and Visitors Bureau. Yeah. And I applied because I needed a job.
Yep.
I didn't have a job. My wife was pregnant, and I was like, well, this is the not good position to be in. Yep. And I had majored in English, so I was totally employable. When you're in this business, though, how do you explain it to people that what you do?
Well, I try to get very simple and say our job is to drive demand for California. And that's primarily what we do through a leisure travel. And so we're trying to get people who are considering where to go on vacation to put California on that consideration.
Okay, but why does that matter? What's the deal?
Because it's huge for economic development, right?
Okay.
And then 1.2 million California workers depend on the hospitality industry for their livelihoods. You know,
Right.
their wages, they're working for these hospitality businesses, and it's revenue for those businesses that then creates tax revenue that the rest of us benefit from. So almost $13 billion of tax revenue, local and state tax revenue last year.
Right.
And I like to say if it wasn't for the tax revenue that's generated by visitors here in California, the rest of us, the California residents, would have to pay about $950 more every year on our state income taxes to make up the difference. So
Plus, it sounds like a million people wouldn't have jobs.
exactly,
Right?
exactly.
Wow.
And it's so it's incredibly important for economic development, and it's a business. And this was probably the biggest surprise to me, that when I came to this industry, is it doesn't just happen automatically. It's extremely competitive, and just like Coke versus Pepsi, you have to be out there asking for people's business.
Hold on. What I've heard during public comment, what I've heard is that, you don't need to promote. People will just show up.
Yep.
People will just come here.
Yep.
And how do you respond to that when people say that?
There's really good case studies that show that is not true. Some people will come, right? There's certainly a big chunk of the industry that is what we would call organic visitation, that is not influenced by advertising or marketing or any other promotional work.
Right.
But we have seen when communities stop their promotional efforts, there is a very quick 1 year plus decline in visitation.
Yep.
And that we've seen that at the state level, not in California, but in other states. We've seen that at the city level, in some places in California, as well as places outside California.
It is funny because oftentimes, not funny, but that if you stop marketing right away, you kind of coast for a little bit.
Yeah.
It's sort of like when an airplane turns off its propeller, it can glide for a little bit.
Yep.
But once it starts losing, it just goes right to the ground.
Exactly.
And oftentimes, the decision makers who made that decision to stop the marketing, they're out of office by that time.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, oh, okay, I did it. And you're like, 3 years later, you're like,
Yep.
oh, wow, our hotel occupancy is cratered.
Yeah.
And you're right. There are some well-known case studies out there. I know Washington had one. I think maybe Michigan, a couple others. You probably can't reference it. I can. And the state legislature or city or somebody said, we don't need to do this.
That's right.
Back in the day, when we were messaging a thing called Brand USA, the goal was, okay, I promote Sonoma, you promote California. Hey gang, let's promote America,
Yep.
right? And our whole, believe it or not, we used to want people to come visit us. So what we would do, we would go out and promote it. But we often heard from people like, oh, tour and travel is not a big industry.
Yeah.
And then you go, no, on a national level, it's bigger than the automotive industry.
That's right.
And what people don't realize is that, especially for any place, travel is this odd. It's an export, but the customer has to consume it on site.
Correct.
And it's like, well, if we could get them just to Venmo us cash from Chicago or London, we would.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, we absolutely need to tell the story, don't we?
We need to tell the story, and we need to be long term with it, right? And that's one of the real secret ingredients of the Visit California equation is, because we are privately funded in this nonprofit model, we can make long-term strategic marketing investments as opposed to fighting for a general fund appropriation every year, where sometimes you're at $1 million, sometimes you're at 10 million, sometimes you're at zero.
Right.
You cannot be strategic.
And that's hard to get contractors to, like, if you oh, I want to advertise in London or Chicago.
Right. And to your earlier point, right, the marketing has a long tail, right? So it's not, you can do some things tactically, and we do this from time to time, especially in like a crisis response effort. You can drive some short-term demand, but to drive long-term brand affinity, that takes a long-term strategy and a long-term investment. I
was going to say, Visit California has, I think, an unfair advantage. I'm a Californian. I was born here. You're native.
Yep.
1 in 8 Americans, if my math is correct, or 1 in 9 is a Californian. We're a big state.
Yep.
And we have that kind of, in the past, let's say, 75 years as being this sort of like golden spot, literally at the end of the continent where all the ideas happened. And I love it. What you guys do a good job with, and I'm going to get into this, is that I'm going to show up some of your covers of your visitor guides, right? So this is Visit California. People can order the visitor guide. This is Steve Martin. Steve. Yeah, he's there playing his banjo. Is that you kind of have the chance to feature different personalities from California. This is Aisha Curry. And she's, a chef, also married to Steph Curry. And then we've got another one with Tracy Ellis Ross, famous actress. And she was on Blackish and a couple other shows and stuff like that. What I've noticed, though, Ryan, and this is kind of a thing where I want to come up as a stakeholder.
Yeah.
I'm not on any of these companies. So
you got to check your voicemail. I know no one leaves voicemails anymore, but that's how we get you.
Is that where I missed
That's how we get you.
Tracy answered the voicemail?
Aisha was right on the voicemail.
Aisha's like, yeah, I'm right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's actually my fault, and I apologize. Thank you for that, because I've been wondering. I'm like, because my thought was like I could have like, like Tracy, there's posing, and Aisha's looking kind of cool, and Steve's got his banjo.
Yes.
Like I could have spilled coffee on the front of my shirt, right? I could be drinking wine, maybe dribbling it in my beard or something.
We have to go back to your drama and debate days. I mean, there's some really rich fodder props that we could bring in.
I can do an impromptu thing. I can put the bow tie back on.
And a scarf jauntily tossed over your shoulder. Yeah.
Well, anyway, if you haven't shot this year's, I'm ready.
All right.
Do that.
All right.
But you guys do a visitor guide.
Yes.
And it's funny because visitor guides, every year I've been in this business, which is more than 20, I'm like, this is the year we kill the visitor guide. No one reads these damn things. Let's get rid of it. And then the problem is people order them.
Yes.
And people buy, like they go and they go, oh, I went to this restaurant because I saw it in the visitor guide.
Correct.
And every year I'm like, okay, but I got to print it. I got to ship it. I got to store it. But that's just part of what you guys do.
Right.
How else are you getting the word out there?
So yeah, you're mentioning the printed visitor's guide. Obviously, there's a digital component of that as well. The foundation of what we do is we call our always-on marketing, and that's really our consumer website, which is visitcalifornia.com.
Got it.
Social media channels. We have our own podcast as well.
I hear that's the second best travel podcast in the state.
Second best.
That's what I hear, according to my mom and dad.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes.
And it, so those channels are really doing the work day in and day out, and it's sort of more of an on-demand, right? So people can come to our website, they can follow us on social, they can sign up for our email newsletters and that sort of thing. And then we're spending about $60-70 million a year on paid media advertising. So the core of that is linear television. You'll see it on streaming services as well. And then there's digital components, so digital banner ads. And
so this is like the classic, if I'm watching Law and Order, whatever they're on nowadays.
Good current reference.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
I'm trying to remember that show. What's on TV now? Okay, whatever show's popular right now, a commercial will come on.
Yeah.
And you guys are good with these commercials.
Yes.
Because they're either you have a challenge that you have a very diverse state.
Yes.
But it's good you have a very diverse state because you guys are so good, like every second and a half.
Yep.
Redwoods Beach, Tahoe, Hollywood person, San Diego, and then a guy from, wherever you're from.
Right.
Just sitting there
San
like in the
Joaquin
Central
County.
Valley. No, and they're always bright and they're very, it's a good way, I think, to show off California.
Yeah. And they move fast, obviously, with intentionality. There's, obviously thousands of different things you can see and do in California, but it's a mix of icons. So you'll see the Golden Gate Bridge, you'll see the Hollywood sign, but then it's a real mix of experiences that aren't necessarily tied to a place, right? Yeah. So you mentioned Redwoods. Right. You can obviously have a Redwood experience all in a lot of different variety of places, beaches, mountains, et cetera.
Right.
And then the idea is that drives the inspiration, and then some of the other campaign elements like the website will help you then kind of get lower funnel and start to plan. Okay, there's a redwood forest in Sonoma. Right. I want to put that on my list because I also am interested in wine, right? So now I'm going to start to combine those things as I start to put that trip together.
And you guys have always been good at, I mean, off mic, I'll tell you everything you do wrong. But,
yes.
No, adopting new technologies and making it so people can personalize their California experience and really learn about the entire state.
Yes.
We are a weird state. We're very long and narrow. We're like the Chile of the states. And so you get very diverse, odd geographies.
Right.
But then people can stay here and do stuff.
Correct.
What is your favorite valley in California?
Ooh. Well, I'm going to say Sonoma Valley.
Good answer.
Considering I'm in Sonoma Valley.
I snuck that one in. I mean, that's the problem, right? You've got so many favorite places in the state.
Well, it is. I mean, we do have an embarrassment of riches, right?
Yeah.
Like I was born here, grew up here. I've spent most of my adult life here, and there's still places that I go that I have never been, or things that I see that I have never seen before. And I mean, I'm pushing 50, so there's that abundance is our advantage, but it also makes it really hard to market, and it can be overwhelming, right? If you are on the East Coast and you're burned out and you're tired of the snow and you just want to go sit on a beach somewhere, it's hard to compete with a destination that's defined by one idea when we're out there saying you can come here and do everything.
Are you referring to a flat sandy peninsula?
But perhaps, yes.
With a large mouse?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's when I was out there marketing the whole county. It was sort of like you're out in New York, and they have so many flights to Florida,
right?
And they're so cheap, right? And they're out there, and it's March, and it's gray, and it's gloomy, and same in the Midwest, and they can get down to Florida so fast.
Yeah.
You're like, and Florida's great. Florida is amazing, but we have beaches. Plus, you can go 90 minutes and be in the mountains at the same time.
Yeah,
and they're not snowy mountains all the time. So they just be gorgeous mountains,
right?
And
I think that's one of the reasons that family travel is such a big component of our audience. It makes up about 3/4 of our ad influenced audience.
Oh, really?
The people that we're targeting, and then the people that are responding to those ads. That's because when you're traveling with family, you kind of need a variety of stuff,
That's
right?
true.
Like I can't take my kids and sit by the pool for 3 days; they will go nuts, and
you will go nuts.
and we would get kicked out of the hotel,
right?
So figuring out a trip that kind of has a little bit of something for everybody, I think, is really where California starts to shine.
We do it.
Yeah.
I know you've probably been told this, and you're probably told that you can't tell me, but no one's listening. I know you know all the secrets of California.
Yep.
The secret cavern underneath Mount Shasta that is controlled by the Tellurians, they're called. Oh, see, you're acting like you don't know about this.
Yeah.
And there's a crystal city underneath there.
Okay. All right.
So you're denying it.
Well, can we go back to the Oxford comma content?
So that's what I love about California is that there's all these really interesting, odd places.
Yes.
Whether like extreme northern part of the state there.
Yeah.
My dad was in the Navy, so we used to go to Death Valley and we would stop at China Lake and Edwards Air Force Base and stuff like that. Yeah. When you're driving down there in the desert and then like a jet buzzes you and you're like, what the heck was that? And then you just go over to Tehachapi or something like that. And these are all in the same. Yeah. That's crazy.
It is. It really is. Yeah.
I enjoy doing this sort of stuff. You said kids. How old are your kids?
I've got a 15, almost 16-year-old. He's got his learner's permit now, so watch out, everyone. And a 12-year-old, both boys.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you guys are doing the family vacay, who's making the decisions on where you're going?
They have started to get a little more interested in that. It's hard to get them to look up from whatever device they've got in their hands.
Right.
But I would say we've kind of hit our stride and started to get kind of a team effort going.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Like where we're going next.
And we kind of start with like, what do you want to do? So it's not a place, right? And it's actually very similar to how we market California when I stop to think about it. It's right. It's like I don't say I want to go to X, Y, or Z. It's no, I want to go see some animals, or I want to go see some trees, right? Like, what is the thing that we want to do? We want to go hiking, we want a relaxing vacation, and we start with that. So,
have you done the drive across the country yet?
Not as a family. So I got the travel bug very early, and my grandparents used to take me every summer in their RV, and we went all over the country every summer. Myself, my brother, and my sister, from the time I was like a toddler all the way up until high school.
Without your parents?
Without my parents.
So they would take you guys?
Yeah, for 2.5 months every summer. Yeah.
For real? That's actually a really nice way to get to know your grandparents.
Yeah, it was fantastic. We were super close, and I hit 49 states before I was 16. We drove to all of them, including Alaska.
So you were like van life before van life was van life.
Exactly. Yes.
You were doing it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we like learning life lessons and stuff along the way.
Yeah, and it's you see a lot of the country that way. I think there is a magic to traveling a road trip. Traveling by ground, because you can see the terrain change, you can see the people change, and long haul air travel obviously has really made this industry boom over the last couple of decades, but you get dropped into a place and you get that culture shock, which can be fun, but you don't get the sort of the gradation of what you've gone through to get there.
Yeah, you don't get time and space.
Yeah, exactly.
And I do love the drive or a train trip.
Yeah,
kind of similar.
Right.
You mentioned road trips, which I will put. It looks like you guys have a publication called Road Trips.
We do.
Once again, looks like Kristen Bell answered your voicemail.
Yes.
I didn't, because I would have been.
All these Hollywood celebrities are excellent with their voicemail.
They must have people that help them. But you guys, what I do love is that you guys have fun trips to do around the state, and then you kind of loop them all in here and stuff like that. And I know Route 66 has an anniversary now, or was it last year, or it's coming up?
Centennial is next year in 2026. Okay. Yeah,
and it ends down there in Santa Monica.
It does, right on the pier, the end of Route 66. Yeah,
but it's so cool. You guys can group together California road trips and kind of check stuff out.
Yeah, and that's just a selection. We actually have a whole road trips hub on visitcalifornia.com. Okay. And you mentioned new tools earlier. One of our new tools is actually an AI-powered road trip builder, itinerary builder. So you can say, hey, I want to spend a couple days at the beach, and I want to hit some theme parks, and maybe if we can, squeeze in some wildflower viewing, and it'll try to put in an itinerary for you, and then you can refine it from there. It's pretty cool.
Let us discuss the electronic elephant in the room.
Yes.
AI.
Yes.
AI, every eye is everywhere. How is that for travel? How are people using it? And in your opinion, good, bad, neutral?
Yeah, I think it feels to me very much like the dawn of the internet back in the 90s. Like, I can distinctly remember the first paper I wrote in high school using I went to my dad's office and I searched up this stuff about nanotechnology or whatever, and it blew my mind. AI is kind of doing the same thing now, right? And it is moving fast, and I think a lot of stuff's getting thrown at the wall. I think we're going to see as a society what sticks and what doesn't.
Yeah.
But where travel's concerned, I think it is it's really powerful. I've actually planned, or at least started the planning for a couple of our family trips with some basic AI tools. Nothing travel industry specific, but just kind of typing in hey, we've got a family of 4 traveling with another family of 4 for 2 weeks, and here's what we're thinking.
What are some ideas about that?
Yeah, and it does a pretty good job. I think for us in the travel industry, you could look at it as an opportunity or a threat. I prefer to look at it as an opportunity, because I think that it makes like I was saying, the abundance of California, which is so overwhelming to people, it gives us another way to parse through that information and helps people curate things on their own. The challenge for us, and where the threat comes in, is we don't want it to eat our lunch. We don't want it to be when I say it, I mean these large language models are pulling information in a very kind of opaque way.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that the information that they're pulling is accurate, that it's keeping people safe. I mean, from back in the day, we've all heard those horror stories about a Waze or another mapping program sending people into
off the cliff or something. Right,
treacherous conditions. And I think AI has the potential to create some of the problems. And that's what we're working to do, is make sure that the content we're creating is what's going to be accurate and then surfaced in the right way so these models can grab it.
AI-able.
Exactly.
Whatever. Yeah, it was in the early days of internet, people learned to kind of win the SEO game to make things pop up on Google.
Right.
And you're like, wait, that's total BS. But they buy backlinks and do all those sort of tricks. And now I've seen that in some AI stuff, some responses. I'm like, that restaurant closed 3 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Or that place isn't even here.
Right.
It's 100 miles away.
Exactly.
But it says it with such confidence.
Yes, it says it with such confidence.
Like any idiot on the internet. I do like it in the sense that it's sort of like, if you can set it up right, or if it does get to that point, it's like a concierge. Or like my visitor center staff. Got some great visitor center staff. If you ask them questions, they're really good at not only hearing what you're asking, but actually understanding what you mean.
Yes.
Right? So they can infer what you're saying.
Right.
And that's the key to a good visitor center person or a concierge. And sometimes, I don't know if all the AI gets that, but if it gets to that point, it'll be amazing.
Yep.
Because it's like, okay, Ryan wants, two families of 4, but I know, he's already been to these theme parks a few 10 times, and he wants to go fishing, so they figure it out. Do you want to go fishing?
I love fishing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
There you go.
My son went fishing for his friend's 16th birthday party last weekend, and I was so proud of them. I was like, what a wholesome activity.
That's a great idea. My son went, when he was about 18, he went salmon fishing, and he came back with so much salmon. And then I said, I am going to pay for you to go salmon fishing because I cryovac or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I had so much for like a year, and it paid for itself.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a good. And I didn't want to go get seasick, so he went and did it.
I love it.
It was a good idea.
My son caught nothing.
They don't call it catching.
Yeah, they call it fishing.
They call it fishing. That's funny. Let's just circle back. Visit California as an organization. You guys are funded by the organization, by people like us, like if you own a business, and so not like me per se, but like the businesses I represent. They vote to do this, and is something coming up soon?
Yeah, it's actually going on right now, the whole month of December. So every 6 years, the businesses that pay into the program vote on whether to continue the program.
Got it.
I remember during my job interview at Visit California, somebody mentioned this, and the vote was coming up just a few months later. And I was like, why am I interviewing at a place that could literally cease to exist
they're
in
like,
a few months?
grab the pencils now.
Right. But we, as an organization, we call it the referendum, really keeps us laser focused on delivering value and through our marketing programs, delivering value for those stakeholders. And the last vote was in 2019, and it was a 95% approval rating. So that's
pretty amazing.
And all we need is 50% plus one. So we really do seek that industry mandate. That vote is happening now through December 31st, and then those results will be announced in January.
Got it. Yeah, because I know, from industry events, you guys do like an Outlook forum. You guys are always giving us information. You're very good at saying yes to consumers. Hey, Kristen Bell wants to go on a road trip with you. For some reason, John Stamos, who's on the visitor guide this year and not me, he wants to hang out with you down in like Santa Monica or whatever. But you're also really good at going to the smaller businesses and saying, here's the trends we're seeing. Here's international inbound. Here's domestic. And that delivers that value. And just like me, I've got members at the visitor center, so you need to like always tell people this is what I'm doing for you.
Yes.
So it's smart that you have the referendum, and I think it'll pass. I hope it does pass because
I think we're in a really good spot. Turnout so far has been really great. We're a couple weeks in, a couple weeks to go, but I'm very confident. I actually feel better about this referendum than any that I've been involved in so far.
That's pretty good.
Just based on the early sentiment that we were polling.
Have you worked in politics before? Because that's a politics thing.
Not directly. I in my journalism days, I covered politics for a while, so that's sort of I guess
didn't have to do actual campaigns
by osmosis. But no, I've never had to campaign for an elected.
Yeah, that would be kind of hard. Speaking of electeds, since you've been there, I believe you've been there. You weren't there with Arnold, were you? You were.
No, I came in the beginning of Jerry Brown's administration.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, former mayor of Oakland, what he's most famous for, clearly. So, when Schwarzenegger was governor, and I think I was still at SF Travel for most of that, it was amazing.
Yeah.
Because it just of course, it opened up so many things. With Visit California, you travel with governors sometimes, and you do the razzle dazzle. Jerry Brown, for those who don't know, he's a thinker, a former Jesuit seminarian. Then he became governor. Then he became something else, like a Buddhist monk or something. I don't know what he did. He went out in the woods for a while. And then he became the mayor of Oakland. Then he became governor again for 2 terms. 2 terms? Yeah. And now we got Gavin Newsom. Do you bring those people on the road with you during certain times? Do you take them to different missions?
It really depends. So you obviously Arnold, one of the biggest celebrities in the world, right? And even before he was governor. So that was an unbelievable platform. It was before my time at Visit California, but I've studied it extensively because it's fascinating the way that he lent his celebrity cred to Visit California's campaigns, including appearing in multiple commercials. But then
which his tagline, okay, well, he was in a commercial, and like he says, and remember, once you visit California, and he put on his sunglasses and goes, you'll be back.
Yes, exactly.
I'm like,
I mean, this thing writes itself.
Exactly.
It writes itself.
That was amazing.
Yeah. And obviously action hero. So he was skiing for us at Mammoth.
Yeah, and Austrian guy, so he grew up skiing.
Yeah, so really, really incredible. And then he did travel the world with Visit California and multiple trade events around the world to try to get the word out about visitation here. Each governor kind of comes with their own different priorities, obviously. Governor Newsom, for example, has been exceptionally helpful in some of the challenges we're having with Canada right now. It's not going to probably come as a surprise that the Canadians are a little upset.
Is that they're not? Is that why there's nobody in the visitor center from Canada?
Yeah.
The ones that do show up, we hug them.
Right.
We're like, thank you so much.
Yes.
You're the best.
Yes, exactly.
And they're like, we're sorry, we already paid for it ahead of time.
Like, that's right.
That's okay.
We didn't buy travel insurance, so we decided to come anyway.
That's right.
But some of the rhetoric and trade war stuff at the federal level has really put a damper on visitation from Canada.
Yeah.
And we were struggling to break through that. Obviously, California as a brand kind of stands to some degree alone, but you still have to come through U.S. Customs to get here, right? So, we were there was essentially a blackout on Canadian media. They would not cover any U.S. travel destination, any U.S. coverage at all.
I had Canadians that were going to come here.
Yeah.
Right. And they're like, again, they were like, we're so sorry. Yeah. We just cannot come. Maybe in a couple of years.
They're so polite about it.
They were so polite. Versus a New Yorker who would just delete you.
Yes, exactly.
So that's a challenge.
And the governor helped with a kind of a statement and joined a campaign that we pushed out in Canada that really was about how California wouldn't be what it was without Canada.
Okay.
And, sort of the long-standing cultural ties and highlighted, one of my favorites is the California roll, the sushi dish, not the way we don't stop at stop signs, was actually invented by a British Columbian chef.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
So, little tidbits like this that we threaded through a campaign, and he issued a statement and created a video that we pushed out in Canada to kind of break through that. And given that he's, the head of state here in California, it did generate coverage. It's sort of coverage that Canadian media couldn't avoid.
Okay.
We would not have gotten the response that we got without his help in that space. So it's just an example of how every scenario calls for a little bit of a different approach. And every governor has obviously a different set of priorities and where they want to focus.
And he had a hospitality company as his background, and lived in San Francisco, which is a huge tourism destination, which is always good. And I do like, one, having the support of your elected officials, because we're in this weird job, right? Like you and I don't actually own anything.
Right.
We don't control anything. And we represent an actual fake place called a destination, right? It's a mystical place. And I always say the destination exists, but underneath it is the reality, which is the community.
Correct.
And there's a lot of things that go up from the community to the destination.
Yep.
But a lot of things that don't.
Yep.
Right? Like we don't say, go to Walmart or whatever, because that's the day-to-day stuff that you can do anywhere.
Of course.
And sometimes there's negatives from the destination that the community can feel. Traffic.
Absolutely.
Right? One of my favorite emails I always get is, why can't the visitors cross the street faster? Because they love Sonoma.
How do you know they're visitors when they're walking slowly?
They got the visitor guide. Right? They're doing it.
Visitor guide's a dead giveaway.
It's dead giveaway. Yeah. So locals oftentimes feel like traffic or something like that, right? And so I do realize there is that struggle.
Absolutely.
And that's
there's an impact for sure.
But going back to what you started with is that in travel and hospitality, you could be new to this country. You could be right out of college. You could be retiring, and you can get into hospitality.
Yeah.
It's one of the few jobs you don't need a college degree to move up. Experience pays off.
That's right.
A lot of people speak multiple languages. So it is a business that you can get into that I think when a government official goes, Ryan's Cafe is a tourism business because 25% of the people going to Ryan's Cafe are from out of town. I should support that because Ryan employs people and pays taxes and whatever. And it's good. I mean, I love that when Arnold was here, he would do it. Jerry Brown, who I used to live in Oakland.
Yeah.
And he was part of a group called the Lake Merritt Breakfast Club, a very elite group of men and women. We would meet on Tuesdays at like 7 a.m. But he was a member and he was supposed to show up and stuff like that. And he didn't show up and we just roasted him. And it was fun. It was a good time. Now, I don't know, he does Jerry Brown stuff. But all the different governors promoting and helping California, it must be harder when they're against what you're doing.
Yeah, we haven't really had an instance where there's strong opposition, right? Yeah. And I think, and again, to go back to our funding model, that private funding source that is controlled by the industry really gives us the autonomy to make those long-term strategic decisions that are right for our mission, which is to drive demand for the state, right? So it's there are times when there's obviously, the way an elected official wants to see the state positioned, right? Those are opinions that need to be taken into account. But we haven't had any issue of someone saying stop doing that.
Right, and there's often education.
Of course,
I've even here on the local level, people running for office, and I hear them say certain things. I'm like, can I talk to you for a second?
Right.
Let me just pull you to the side.
Yeah,
because here in Sonoma, roughly 60% of our general fund revenue for the city is derived from tourism activities,
Right.
whether it's direct or sales tax or property and business taxes. That's what their business is. So then you're like, this is, you make a choice in your industry by what you allow.
absolutely.
And so if you're like, we'll allow extraction and mining and forestry, then you'll get that. If you don't allow that, then tourism might be your option.
That's right.
Or something like that.
That's right.
And it's just the way it is. Should we make fun of New York now, or are we going to pass that over now? Or
We need New Yorkers to come here.
Oh, sorry. So we love New Yorkers.
Yeah,
Okay.
we love New Yorkers. We want everyone to come
You
here.
are so good, Ryan.
Even the Floridians.
Even the Floridians come here. I spent a summer in northern Florida.
Yeah?
I spent when I was a lad, I had long. This might shock you. I had long skater hair.
Okay.
I was like 12 or 13,
Okay.
8th grade, and my cousin lived in northern Florida in Tallahassee, and so I went there for the summer.
Okay.
And my mom said, "You are not going there with long hair." So I went to the barber and I got a buzz cut.
Okay.
She's like, I went full on.
You went all or nothing.
I went all or nothing, and I had a great time. I loved it. I went to a YMCA camp there, and I enjoyed a thing. My aunt and uncle took me to the side of a road. A guy was selling in plastic bags a thing called boiled peanuts, and they are boiled peanuts.
Okay.
They're
Thanks for the translation.
I know, 'cause I'm like, boiled peanuts. They're highly salted.
Okay.
They're super delicious.
Okay.
They're really good. And I ate gator meat.
Oh,
and,
wow.
I had it
You
all.
the full experience.
And I saw two kids get in a fist fight over the Seminoles and the Gators, and I always mix up the two teams, so I don't want to do that now. But they were into it, and I had no idea what was going on.
This is the whole Florida experience.
It was so wonderful. So that was northern Florida, which I understand obviously different than southern Florida.
Right.
But yeah, any Floridians, we'd love them to come here.
Yep.
Great place. I enjoy going there because I do like Caribbean food. Lived for a while in the Caribbean, and California has a lot of cuisine. We're not as strong with Caribbean food as we are with, say, other types of cuisine.
I'll put that on the to-do list.
Could you really?
We'll get on that right
I would
away.
love that. Thank you. California, not so big on Caribbean. But good. Hey, here's one for you. Who's got better tacos, Northern or Southern California?
Oh my God! I mean, you might as well just ask me to pick my favorite child. Listen, I am partial to a fish taco.
Okay.
That's my personal
Right.
preference.
Okay.
So
Which technically started in Southern California.
I like a Baja fish taco.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the burrito, like Chipotle
I know. See, everybody
burrito.
argues with you. No matter what, I could literally have said Northern, and you would argue with Southern. Yeah.
I'm going to point out that the Mission style burrito came from San
Yes.
Francisco, the big burrito, which then took off, and then Chipotle became a thing.
Right.
And every time someone's like, "Oh, Chipotle is so good," I'm like, "No. I mean, if you want to sponsor, yes,
Yeah.
but it started in San Francisco,
Yes.
and
Yes,
just
it
piling the stuff in there, and a tortilla the size of a baby's bed sheet, so delicious.
So delicious,
Yeah,
and
but
it's lunch and dinner.
It's so good. Okay, but you're right. I will give Southern California 1 point.
Okay, all right. I didn't know we were playing for keeps.
My brother
all right.
was down there. All right, Bill, you get 1 point down in San Diego. Ryan, this has been good. But before we move on, if people want more information about Visit California, if they want to come travel here, what's the website they should go to?
VisitCalifornia.com.
That was easy. I like that.
Yeah.
That was a smart play. And you guys have all the social media and stuff like that.
Yeah, that'll take you to all our social media channels, and you can get info about our podcast and watch our videos and
All sorts of stuff in there. Okay. Well, it's been good. But no one escapes this podcast.
I know. That's what I've been on my mind the whole time. Yeah.
On the drive over. You're like, here we go. All right, so we have 2 visitor centers.
Okay.
People call us. They text us, 707-996-1090. They slide into our DMs. They send us TikTok dances, all sorts of things. They ask us questions. You're going to help me in the segment we call We Get Questions. Ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. This was a good question. We are here with our 4-month-old baby. Any suggestions on things to do?
Oh, boy. Call a babysitter? First of all, bless you for traveling with a 4-month-old.
Yeah.
That is impressive. I think our our firstborn was 6 months before we ventured out on a trip. But yeah, 4 months old. Well, it kind of depends on what the parents want to do, I think, right? Like we should probably start there.
I mean, you can't crawl at 4 months, can you?
No,
I don't think you can.
You're captive.
You're
in the baby
thing.
Bjorn thing, or on the back, and yeah, you're good to go.
My neighbor called it the cat with no legs phase.
Yeah,
it's the ideal time.
I love it.
They don't move. They don't roll very much.
Yep. So so I mean, you can go hiking. You can
go wine tasting.
Wine tasting. There was
a lot.
A ton of stuff to do.
This one actually did stump us because we were like, clearly this is your first child. Because I'm like, 4-month-old, you got freedom.
Yes.
The second they start crawling and moving,
that's right.
Paradigm shift.
That's right.
It's all over.
Yes.
We used to travel with our kids when they were pretty young. My wife's from the Midwest, so we would have to fly with them. Not as fun when they started moving.
Yeah.
When they were tiny, it was great.
Yeah.
You just swaddle them and off you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, is your wife's family from around here too?
Up in the foothills toward
Okay.
Tahoe. Yeah.
So you don't have
so
the
not
plane.
too far. Yeah.
Yeah. So to answer the question, with a 4-month-old baby, you can do pretty much anything. You do have to wait 20 years and 8 months for them to drink with you.
Yes. I'm so looking forward to my son buying me a beer.
Really?
Oh,
it'll be amazing, won't it?
Cannot wait.
You're like to the date.
Yes.
Buy me a beer,
exactly.
son.
Yep.
That'd be fun. But yeah, with a 4-month-old, you can do lots of stuff. But there is in the plaza, there is a playground. Obviously, the 4-month-old probably not going to do very much, but you can chill there. And they can look at the leaves. Yeah. And that's kind of nice. Okay, question we got today. Okay. Just today, right before this. Hi, we are from Finland, staying in San Francisco and up here for the day. What is the difference between Napa and Sonoma? Is there a difference?
Yeah, again, this is like tacos. I mean, you're governors, you're hitting all the political questions. Yeah, of course there's a difference between Napa and Sonoma, right? Yeah. And I'm sure you've covered this. Napa and Sonoma, are we talking city, county, valley?
All of the, I mean, I'll jump in to save you having to apologize to the Visit Napa Valley people. No, so Napa and Sonoma are similar and different in that regards. It's just like a sibling, right? You have similarities and you have differences. Yep. What we tend to say, Sonoma tends to be very farmer focused and very small towny. If you're talking the actual cities, because this is again a good point, there's a city called Sonoma and a city called Napa. The city of Sonoma is quite small, and the city of Napa is larger. So in the county of Napa, Napa City, I think, is the largest city, I believe. American King. Yeah, I believe it is. In the county of Sonoma, Sonoma is actually one of the smallest cities, and our biggest city is called Santa Rosa. In another similarity, just to make things completely confusing to people from Helsinki, we use the same name for 3 different entities, right? Sonoma City, Sonoma Valley, Sonoma County. Same with Napa City, Napa Valley, Napa County. We like to say that we tend to be more family-oriented, little less costly for certain products. And, what I would say often is like, you can walk into a tasting room here, like Caddis Wine on the plaza, and Chris, the owner, is sitting there. And that's it. You can get that experience in Napa. I don't think it's as prevalent as it is in Sonoma. Napa itself is a smaller valley. It's very narrow. There's kind of one way up, one way back, which is lovely. And they have a fantastic food and wine scene as well. So you are welcome to come visit to both. Just sleep in Sonoma Valley and spend all your money on this side of the hill. No. So that's the main differences. But you're right. They're fantastic. And you're right. It's exactly like the taco question.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you a Dodgers fan or a Giants fan? You're like, oh,
I'm going to go Giants. I'm not going to hide behind any political on that.
Although now we gave you the A's over there in Sacramento.
Yeah, that's been fun actually.
No, it's terrible. It makes me sad.
I know. I am also bittersweet about it, but it is fun to literally walk from house to a major league.
And I
game.
think, can you see it from your office? Can you look down onto the?
Can't quite see it, but it's just about a mile over the river. Yeah.
And then you're right next to the basketball stadium too.
Yeah, right next to the Golden One Center.
One? Yeah. Which Golden One is a bank?
Credit union, yeah.
Credit union. Okay. Like Golden One. Okay, another question we got. By the way, great job dodging that one.
Okay, good.
Right at you. Hey, with the holiday season here, does that mean it's a good time to drink sparkling wine?
I mean, there's always time to drink sparkling wine, right? You don't have to have a season to drink it.
Correct.
So someone has that quote, like you should always have a bottle of champagne in the fridge just in case.
Yeah.
There's something to celebrate.
What do they say? what do they say? Something about, well, Napoleon, I mean, it probably wasn't Napoleon, but we're going to say it was Napoleon quoting Mark Twain, who said...
Wait. The chronology's off there, but okay.
In victory, champagne is always a good idea, and in defeat, it always is, or something like that.
See? Yeah. So I say sparkling wine anytime.
Anytime for sparkling wine. You're absolutely right. We could call it champagne, but we get letters from the French.
I know.
But yeah, there's always a good time to drink sparkling wine, but I will say this, yes, during the holidays is a great time. Anytime's a good time for it. What's good about sparkling wine is that it kind of goes with a lot of things. Mm-hmm. It's very forgiving as far as food. Mm-hmm. And it's also unexpected. If your friend comes over in May and you're like, whoa, happy May 15th. And they get excited, right? So I think that's the way to do it.
Yep.
Is there a holiday on May 15th?
Not to my knowledge, no.
I'm going to work on the Quince de Mayo, man. It's going to be big. It's like 10 days later. Everything was on sale. Question we got today. What's the shopping like in Sonoma Valley?
I don't actually know. I'm not a big shopper myself.
You mean you didn't go out and look for that logo wear you're wearing?
No. Yes, my swag wardrobe is a dead giveaway. I don't do a lot of shopping.
The closet at the end of the hallway.
Yeah.
Next to the visitor guide.
Hey, the price is right.
Yeah, so good job. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we are not known for large box stores. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of boutiques and cool stuff. Imagine if like Etsy people had a physical location. They call those stores. That's what we have. Okay. So we have a lot of cool stores. But we're not like, I'm going to go and hit the big city and do all the huge shopping that might be in San Francisco or L.A. Or Beverly Hills kind of stuff there. But what we do have is a lot of artisans, people making cool stuff, plus a lot of food. So cheese that's made here, obviously wine that's made here. Yep. The farmer's market has good stuff like that. But yeah, when people want to go shopping here, it's like for unique, nifty crafts. You're not going to find the Rolls Royce dealers.
Right. It probably makes good gift giving this time of year, right?
It does.
The kind of the gifts you want to bring back from a trip.
I mean, it is funny because when you go traveling, you're more likely to buy stuff from there.
Yes.
It reminds you of it, but also you look for unique things.
Yes.
And I love doing that.
And you need to bring a token back to all the people who are mad that you left. So
have a ransom payment. So go to the Chocolate Cow and get a lot of chocolates. Yeah, chocolates are good for when we go back to the office.
That's right.
You're like, hey, here you go.
It's a peace offering.
It's exactly. Like, thanks for covering all my emails, or my voicemails, which I should have answered.
Right. Someone definitely screwed up. I
could have been on the cover.
They did not alert you.
I didn't get enough chocolates. That's what I should do. All right, Ryan, you answered all the questions correct.
Oh, wow.
See, that's not that hard.
Okay. Do I get a point too?
Yeah, you get a point.
Okay, great.
So we get a point, and San Diego gets a point, or LA gets a point.
Okay.
And Sonoma gets all the points.
Love it.
It's stacked in our favor. Ryan, before we forget, if people want more information about visiting California, even if they live in California and they want other parts of the state, what is that website one more time?
VisitCalifornia.com.
Fantastic. And if you are like a travel agent or anybody in that thing, you can also contact Visit California for help with that kind of stuff as well. We didn't talk about it, but...
Yeah, all that contact info is on that same website, and we've got a team that can help you with story ideas if you're a journalist looking to do a story about California, or if you're a travel agent or a tour operator and you need information about the state. We're standing by ready to help.
And if you're a TikTok influencer, Ryan will personally give you $1 million cash. Just email him right now.
Well, I've saved all this money on the wardrobe, so yeah.
You love those emails. So after you go to visitcalifornia.com, don't forget to go to sonomavalley.com for deals, special offers, and events. Ryan, thanks for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
It's good to be here. And
it's fun.
Mom and Dad, thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys at the holidays. Everyone have a great week. Thank you. Bye-bye.